Hi, Warriors. How's everyone doing this morning? Pretty quiet.
Good
I've got
morning,
some.
Coach.
Hey, how are you, Blake? Anything big
I'm
happening?
well, my son turned 21 yesterday, so I'm a little tired today.
Oh, that's right. You guys went out and he did it legally for the first time.
Yeah, but it's going to be some really interesting talking points. I'm sure Ryan and K-Man have a lot to say.
Okay.
We just witnessed an interview on CNBC from David Zervos, which he is trying to he's in the running for the next Fed chair, and holy shit, he just sold himself to Trump on that interview, and I,
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
what I really have to say about everything he just said.
Yeah. We're going to be like Zimbabwe. It's going to take rates
Yeah,
to
well,
negative.
we were just saying in the Forex Analytics chat room. I mean, he's definitely got Trump's got his yes man. So if he gets
Yeah.
gets the gig, it was because of the interview that just happened over the last 10 minutes. So
How
that
about this? A dove on steroids.
yeah, I mean, Ryan, what do you have to say about what you just heard?
Arse kissing exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. We'll trade it. Anything that happens, we'll trade.
Yep.
Okay. And I just want to say good morning to my trading warrior brothers and sisters, and we'll go to work. AJ, how are you? And I have a question for everyone who said hello. Why don't you tell us the most important thing you've learned in FACE since you've been attending? So that goes for you, AJ. Morning. You too, Ingmar. Good morning to you. Steve, same to you. Mike Weissman. I know that Mike got some personal coaching from Blake, and he said his trading, it was a breakout for him. K-Man, how are you doing? Melidas, hi. Welcome. Welcome to FACE. So you'll be able to learn what these guys are putting up here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hi, Brand. How are you? You learn more about metals. Okay. Ingmar, good morning. Have a plan. Have a deep perspective and a solid plan. I learned methods to define valid targets. Okay, those are important things. All right. Good. Mission accomplished, just like George Bush when he landed on the aircraft carrier. More, okay. Opened your eyes to more pairs. Great. All right. Uh-oh. Steve Volke may be here, Brand. You might get banned. And Brand believes in astrological. All right. Anyway, okay, let's go to work. Just taking your temperature, guys. Entries. Uh, off levels. Entries off of levels. Larry Richmond. Okay. Ryan's probably your model. Okay. Before he wanted to catch big moves, but I had no idea what levels they might move to. Okay. So, there's a lot of great education that takes place here, that's for sure. So, glad to see that you guys are getting the added value out of FACE. Just imagine this is a half an hour because half of it's an interview, right? So, I mean, you might learn about, um, you know, some type of trade or position or bias. But as far as trading is concerned, you have half an hour every day. You need, especially if you're starting off, you need more than a half an hour to be immersed in it. So take that deal. If you're here for the first time, check out our summer deal. Maybe one of the guys will post it in the room because you want to grow. Okay, you want to keep growing. We all do. We're all still growing. So this range 116 to 117 for almost 2 weeks, 3 weeks I look at my screen and sometimes I have to wait for a second before there's a price change. This has been a pretty quiet pullback, which makes me suspicious of it being a top. I don't see anything impulsive to the downside. This still looks corrective to me. Um, Ryan, does it feel that way to you?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's looking that way, and it's just waiting. Everyone's waiting for Powell
Okay.
on Friday. It really could be the cruncher, or it does
Cable
nothing
came
at all.
off. Cable came off a pretty important area here. How it tagged
Yeah,
this moving average here just looks like a pullback. And look, we have a confirmed high here. So although I think Euro looks better because of EG, EG shaping up pretty good. I like this candle, Ryan. If it
yeah,
could get going over 86 and a half.
yeah. Me
Um,
too.
okay. Any
That was a.
comment? Go ahead.
I was going to say that was a nice hold down near the
Yeah.
86 figure on the CPI data today.
Yeah.
The fact that we didn't see the pound gaining more is because the market's already pricing out cuts for the next meeting, and that hot CPI, there's not much to squeeze out of the hawkish side of the trade. So yeah, that dip in that bid in the quid didn't last long, and if it gets through 86.45 here, then we could see it grinding up a bit
Okay.
higher as euro
All right.
sterling.
All right. So here's the sale. Here's the sale, guys. 40% off. And I just want to go to take a look at what yeah, we know we're online. Just want to take a look at what Greg is saying. He has a green traffic light on all the currencies, except Aussie. Aussie, I think, may have surprised him to the downside. I tried it this week, it didn't work, but it's still green lights in Euro, and he's calling it corrective. So nice to have access to this. He's even saying, some type of pullback here. I don't know the exact level, but looks like 1590 or so before we make a move for a five. So maybe that's why it's quiet because it's just a four waiting to complete. Anyway, you have this at your fingertips after you join, and not just Grega. You have Blake for basic technicals, and you have Andres if you want to learn harmonic patterns. Andres a master, you know.
And both Ryan and K-Man do a lot of the intraday updates in the European hours. Well, they do all the
Yeah, yeah,
updates too on basic technical analysis. So they update a lot of pairs and a lot of instruments early. So when I get up, I can read what Ryan and K-Man have been thinking as well.
yeah. And if you only want to trade, maybe I don't know about once a month, then you could follow Stelios on his macro. As you'll see, he mainly just has weekly charts up there, so that's macro. All right. So anyway, the advantages are there's too many to go over in this session. So you know, I know I'm grateful that there's a company like Forex Analytix and the guys that I work with. So small little entry fee to hang out with one of the best I think groups on the net as far as trading and as far as currency knowledge. It's way up there. So let's go back to the markets and bring K-Man in. So I
Hey, hi.
shorted. How are you, buddy? So
Very good.
I shorted yen yesterday. I
Mm,
took partials. Um,
yeah.
you think we're going to hold and make another run at 49, or does
You see what we are doing
46?
there?
Yeah,
Do you see what we are doing there? Exactly the same as in the euro dollar. It's all crosses in the yen right now. Yeah, okay. I mean maybe to a slightly different price, but we're stuck in ranges right now.
yeah,
And been saying that for a while that we trying to or the market is likely to trade more inside ranges, and that's exactly what's happening there as well. But your your level there of 148, Nice couple of rejections in the meantime, which is
Yeah.
interesting because we had some weaker numbers on the trade front in Japan. Still couldn't get above 148. Yeah, that's I think interesting in the short term. But then, yeah, what's going to happen on actually already tomorrow because we have a slew of data tomorrow, but especially going into Jackson Hole, right? Everybody's waiting for Powell, and yeah, that's
Well, it looks like yields. I think yields are going to take out these lows. To me, it looks like just an ABC to a breakdown, and that we're going to flush one more time.
well,
So, I mean, that's my that I know
mm,
the correlation isn't 100%, but that's part of my reason for being negative on
yeah,
the yen here for maybe move down to that level, 46-ish,
yeah,
something like that,
yeah,
45.
oh, yeah, obviously, if US yields come down, that's going to be dragging the dollar down as well, but it has not really followed the tens. I think, sorry, the market is probably a bit more focused on the shorter end of the curve right now, because as we know, I mean, Fed funds rates can impact the short end,
Yeah,
2 years, etc. But the longer end is more driven by economic factors. The long end, of course, it's going to follow what Powell says to a certain extent. But then I think for the long end to really take the next direction, I think the next employment report may be more important than that. But in the meantime, yeah, I think the short end, and there's one interesting one, and I actually forgot to talk about it on the Flow show. Um, but there is some kind of thought emerging from somewhere in markets. And I'm not saying it has any big foundation or whatever, but it would be very, very interesting that Powell may kind of hint at an average inflation target instead of a fixed inflation target at 2%. I know it's been brought up in the past, but that would be quite a big announcement if it does, because that means that inflation does not have to go to 2% before they cut rates, and that would be quite negative for yields and rates if he would hint at that in Jackson Hole, and that's something that not a lot of people have been talking about yet. But if that would come, he may not say anything about cuts or whatever for September. But if he speaks about a flexible inflation target, then that would get the ball rolling, I think, for your bonds to spike, etc.
okay. Well, here's a vote of confidence on the CNBC interview that you guys were talking about. All the metals popped.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Jeez, it stopped 10 cents in silver from where my bid is this morning. Stopped
uh,
at 36.95 and I'm in at 36.85. I
yeah,
just missed
I
it
see
for like
that.
10 cents.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
happens, you know.
just a pullback from here. Yeah, I
Happens.
know you were you near the your platform, or were you sleeping when you were unable?
On the dip there?
Yeah.
No, I just had a resting order in, and yeah, I was there when it traded, but I was looking as if I was going to get it. You know, all the metals were pretty heavy at that time.
All right, so here's a question, and you're a pro. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the question is, if you're at your trading station and
Mm,
you're working a limit order,
yeah.
I don't know how you could just sit there and wait for it to get filled. To me, if I really like the trade and it's close enough to where I want to do it, maybe I'd reduce size, but I would just go to the market because if I really believed in the trade, does 2 cents or even a nickel make a difference
Yeah,
other
but
than being unable?
um, yeah, but there is different trades. I'm still long my long-term silver, but
Well, I'm just talking about that. I'm just saying for other people.
oh
Other
yeah, but
people,
hey,
that I
if
think
I
limit orders can
mm,
limit success,
yeah, but
especially if you're right there.
if I have shorter term orders in, I usually go to market for a part. I do
Yeah,
actually, I
yeah.
do. But
But
because I hate missing a trade if I have enough confidence.
right,
It all depends on the confidence that we have as well in
I
it.
guess. Yeah.
It's not
All right.
uh,
How about on outs? How about on liquidations of a trade? Do you
oh
wait
yeah,
for your limit or
I very often actually front run my own take profits for a few pips. Actually, I never put take profits at round big figures. Okay, that's another little giveaway. Never
Okay.
ever do it because you never know whether there are orders in the market. Also, never put any orders at big figures.
Okay, so that's the little tirade on limit orders. And yesterday I was talking about semis weren't making new highs with the market. They got tagged pretty good. I know NVIDIA has earnings coming up, but I don't know. Looks like a breakdown to me. Maybe it holds and rallies. I mean, we're still above this high, but somewhat negative action there. And the semis led the whole way. They were the top performers of most of the sectors. So if they led on the way up, maybe they'll lead on the way down. Not even really kind of an ugly day in Nasdaq and S&Ps. Get some follow through. Blake, is this a top?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, I'm
It
have
was
to.
like a little head and shoulders they had there, and it never looked back once it took that out. See this
Yeah,
right here?
as we updated in on ForexAnalytix, it completed, you could call it a head and shoulder pattern,
Yeah,
a little wedge.
yeah,
We've stalled ahead of the 38% retracement. So it's like you look at it in one lens and you go, okay, that was a false breakout last week. Then you look at it through another lens and you're like, it's only a 38% retracement and we're stair stepping higher. So
yeah,
I've been telling everybody in our community the last, week or so, I've shifted money back over to equities, or to my Thinkorswim account. Let's just put it that way. I've put money, transfer from one asset class to another because I'm going to be shorting equities pretty aggressively sometime in the next 30 days. And I don't know if it's today. I don't know if it's 2 weeks from now or a month from now. I'm looking
yeah.
for a spike higher to sell into. I think wave 5 is upon us. And so I'm not shorting it today. And, but I plan on being pretty short here in the next couple of weeks. So
So this is five of the Bulls would say this is five of one. This whole rally from the April low that we
well,
just.
just look at wave 5 from 2022 lows.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's how I've drawn it, and I've been illustrating
Let's
that
see
for the
it.
last couple months. Yep.
Let's see
I'll
it
be
because
more than happy to show you. Most of you guys have seen this. If you watch the week ahead video, there's the 2022 lows. That's one, two,
okay,
three,
I
four,
see.
five. And I've been targeting 65.25 for at least the last 3 months or so. We've gotten
Yeah,
as high as 64 something or
80.
other.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's within I just don't know if we're quite there yet, or maybe we overshoot just a little bit more. I'm unsure of that. I'm looking for a catalyst. I don't want to just start shorting to short either. You know what I mean? We have a lot of things in front of us, whether it is a, announcement of a extremely dovish Fed chair. Like, how about if Trump selects, his, ass kisser that was, from Jeffries on today.
yeah,
And, how about if I mean, the market's going to cheer. The market's going to go, holy crap, that guy is extremely dovish. He's going to cut rates. He's Donald Trump's yes man. And hell, I mean, S&Ps could be sitting at 7,000, so
yeah.
I don't want to do that. We you know, you don't. I think it's a little premature at this point without having some sort of catalyst. And let's not forget, we have Jackson Hole on Thursday, Friday. We have a jobs report that everybody's going to be really focused on. You know, we're in a low volatility period. It's at the end of summer. There's shorting the market in low vol is extremely hard to do. And so I'm not, like I said, unless I see some sort of catalyst out there, I'm not willing to step in front of it. But this is the wave count, Dale.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So, speaking of which, we got Steve here. Steve has spent a couple of weeks in Rhodes, Greece, and hopefully got a little bit of a recharge. Steve, what's your general view of the markets at this point in time?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, in regards to the first comment about, the possible replacement of Powell, my comment is buy gold.
Right? It looks like the rest of the market feels that way this morning too. They're like, holy crap,
Yeah. And I couldn't agree more with you. A very possible initial outcome could be a risk-on move, but have no doubt in mind if indeed you saw the last PPI we got, right? Yeah. PPI increased by 0.9% in a month. That's half of the target of inflation, not in 12 months, but in a single month. And we know that PPI is a leading indicator to inflation. So what I have to say is if we objectively look at the data, and I'm talking about inflation data, right? The Fed should be closer in hiking, not cutting. Of course, we know that with Trump putting so much pressure, that would never be an option. He's not even happy with cutting slower, which isn't the correct direction in any case. If for some reason we get some super dovish central bank policy, I think the possibility of stagflation is going to substantially increase, which is anyhow much higher than it has been in the recent past. And if there is one thing we know from history, is that stagflation is not bullish, anything risk related.
But then stagflation is not just it's not just a U.S. issue. It seems like it's more. It could end up being more of a global phenomenon.
Correct.
Too.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yes, no disagreement.
Everything's global now.
Yeah.
In a big extent, Dale is right. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I've got a question. I've got a question for Steve. What do you think of the possibility of a Greek taking over the Fed?
and a Greek that looks like Jesus, or at least our depiction of Jesus. Or maybe here, Michael Brown's in our chat room, but he just posted this on Twitter. So if you want to see what David Zervos looks like, here's a couple good pictures of him. I mean, this is that's not him. That's
AI me. I posted that.
Did you post that AI generated one?
No, it's an actual outfit.
Dude's crazy.
I think there is an abundance of clowns.
Yeah, he was a John Travolta fan. The way he's dressed.
From every country across the globe. I think you guys in the US have a really good number of people that are a really good number of people that are honestly qualified to lead something like a central bank. The problem is that politicians would never choose the appropriate candidate because politicians do not want an honest, independent central bank, because then they would have to face the music and fix fiscal policy issues. They actually want a straw man leading a central bank, because in essence what they want to be doing with central bank, and that's not only a US phenomenon, is using the central bank to try for as long as possible to hide the huge structural problems that we are denying and don't want to face. Of course, that has been working for several years, and it might keep working for a few more years, but inevitably we will all have to face the music. And due to pushing the problem down in the future for so long, when we inevitably have to face the problem is going to be so much worse.
When is it? Next year, Steve?
Nah, there is no prediction to that, Dale.
Anybody
that can honestly make
problems for 40 years.
Yeah, and anybody that. One thing is for sure, and we can all agree on that: the trajectory at which the problems have been increasing has become a lot worse. So I think that the day of reckoning is not that far away. But by saying not that far away, I'm not talking about a week or a month. Not that far away can be 3 years from now. It can be 5 years from now, right? Because, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, 2 or 3 or 5 years is a short-term horizon, right?
Yeah.
And don't forget that always the trigger, always these things come with a trigger, right? They almost rarely come out of the blue. So something else is going to happen that's going to be the trigger for people to face the real problems in the economy, and nobody can make a guess what that is going to be, when that is going to come, and when that is going to be. Right? For example,
maybe a trigger.
For example, the trigger for the first bankruptcy of the U.S. in 1971, because in essence that's what Nixon did, right? When he removed the exchange of dollars to gold, in essence, it was a silent bankruptcy, right? The trigger was the huge spending of the 1960s, and we have something equivalent happening here. And the goal that started pressuring from the end of the 60s, questioning the ability of the US to repay what it was owing the world in gold. Now, we already have the first part, meaning a huge acceleration in debt worldwide. Who knows what the trigger is going to be for everybody to start paying close attention to each other, and at some point faith being lost somewhere, and then that has a trickle effect, right? A snowball effect, actually, if I want to be more precise.
So wait a second. So what you're telling me is like this is problematic? Wait.
Somewhat.
All right. So anyway, I won't get into these charts, but that's in the news and research room if you guys want to access it in Forex Analytics. Okay, man, you were trying to say something and make some comments. And by the way, we got just a couple of minutes before we pass it over to Dale. He's got Tony Nash here. I do want to see what everybody's got on their radar today. So I will come around the horn, and thank you, Steve. But K-Man, what were your comments there?
Yeah, I mean, about the global situation. Yes, everything is global, but don't forget the US is by far the biggest market out there. So if stagflation would hit the US, the people will first look at the dollar and what it's going to cost them, and I think the confidence crisis could start by the US, then again spill over to the rest. But it's first of all going to be a dollar problem, that's for sure.
Well, for what it's worth, Martin Armstrong always believed that the epicenter this time was going to be Europe. Then it flows to Asia. Why?
Why would the epicenter be Europe? Why?
Because the banks never clean things up like they were cleaned up here.
There's so much less banks in Europe right now. I mean, it's uncomparable compared to what we had in the 70s and 80s in number of banks in Europe. And
don't shoot the messenger.
I beg to differ, but it would take us too far and too long to discuss about it. But
and if I may add to what came on,
I hit a nerve. I'm sorry. I'm a bad dentist.
If I may add to what Cayman is saying, I think that from a bubble perspective, the US is more in danger as well than the EU at the moment.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Private equity, man. Way too big.
That's an
way too big.
How about pensions? You know, these pensions that people have, the pension guarantee fund.
You don't have to worry about pensions. Pensions are a Ponzi scheme worldwide, so don't worry about that.
Well, people will worry when they're not getting checks anymore.
No, there is no way you're not going to be getting checks. Everybody's going to keep getting checks. The problem is that these checks are going to be buying less and less stuff.
It's not going to be the same amount of money if you're talking MMT compared to what people get on their pensions.
As the checks that are people getting now are worth a lot less than they were worth 10 years ago. Huh?
Right.
At least to gold, it is. Hey, real quick. I know Tony's here, so I'm going to bring him in just a second for Dale, or he's already on actually. Real quick, Ryan, what are you looking at today? What are you looking to trade? Anything? I know it's summer, and I know it's like kind of holding your feet to the fire right now, but anything you're looking to scalp around?
Yeah, everything's looking pretty good at the moment. Dollar CAD's making a break as long as it's holding this 138.60 area. That looks like it might be going for a walk to 139. I've finally scaled into my Aussie Kiwi shorts, starting to build on that, although I did get blown up on a Kiwi dollar trade overnight. And yeah, you mentioned the MEX coming down to 1877 area could be important for that one.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm looking to trade today. And if you're on Forex Analytix, just updated this right here on the dollar MEX. I'm actually looking to trade it on the long side on a dip below 18 or dip below
the doggy bottom. Doggy bottom.
This is a doggy bottom. This is like the barfing alligator bottom, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I believe this is a long-term bottoming formation, but it does look like a barfing dog, and its tail is over here, and it's got some eyes, and it's got some.
Look how long his tail is, man. You need to bring that chart to the groomer, man.
Yeah, I know, and it's got some long toenails. It's got to be trimmed over here. Hey, K-Man, what are you looking at today? Anything
Good dog,
you got on your radar?
Nice.
Thanks, man.
I was turning, but for the rest time, I went on to the exotic tour yesterday, and I started to be short rand against Mexican peso. And
you're short what? The rand?
South African rand.
Wow.
Yeah.
So short rand.
Long MEX.
Long MEX. Wow. So you're getting okay. All right. And
you're
they just had
you're getting
South
fancy
Africa just
there.
Met last night, right?
Yeah, and I've actually added some this morning as well. Oh, actually half an hour ago, at the start of the show. Yeah, because one thing is that I'm not 100% sure about the dollar side of things, and I want to eliminate funding costs. So I prefer to be long the MEX against the short rand, because if you're short rand against anything else in the, let's say, in the normal sphere of instruments that we trade, you're gonna pay funding costs if you keep it for a while. So I wanted to eliminate that, and the MEX is still not falling out of it. So that's why I went into rand MEX.
Very nice. All right. Well, Dale, I know Tony's here, so I'm going to pass you over to him. And guys, make sure that you guys are around a little bit later today. We're going to be, covering, especially if you're in Forex Analytics in our community. We've got the FOMC meeting minutes later today. We got a lot of Fed speakers today, so it could be moving the needle. Everybody's really focused on this Zervos conversation. I can only imagine Trump is, he's on Truth Social right now, says Cook must resign now. Who is he?
Fed's Cook, Lisa Cook.
Okay.
So he wants another Fed head to resign.
Oh, and that is weighing on the dollar as we speak. That's why the dollar is slipping. So,
Blake, we're qualified to be part of the Trump administration because the number one qualification is being good on TV. All right, I'm really. He thinks about that. How do they look on TV?
Oh yeah, so, I mean,
look at Tony. Tony's probably going to get a call from the White House.
I'll take that
guy. He'll take the call. All right. Well, thanks, team. Blake, thanks. Steve, thanks. Ryan and K-Man. Wow, you're getting really esoteric with a Max Rand play or Rand Max play. That's a don't try that at home, guys. You have to be a pro to figure out those combinations. So thank you guys. See you guys
Thanks.
tomorrow.
Yep.
Tony, hi. Tony, I want to
Yeah,
start with something. Great to have you here.
thank
And
you.
I know that you're probably aware of it. A lot of people, well, some of the people that I follow, they're talking about the repo market, Tony, how, it's kind of like tapped. Some of the lowest levels of dollars there for banks to go to in the repo market. Do you see anything happening there that's concerning, liquidity wise or financial conditions wise in the repo market?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm overly concerned in the near term. I think it's a temporary thing.
Tech,
I think it's go ahead.
seasonal or technical, but not
Yeah.
systemic.
It's August. I don't see it as something that's systemic
Yeah.
or long term. I think it's as something that once September comes around, we'll see more action there, and I'm not particularly worried about it.
Okay. So when all the adults get back from the Hamptons in a
Correct.
few weeks, what do you think? What kind of September are you looking for, and what sticks out in your mind to really pay attention to once we have the markets back at full force and more trading volume?
Yeah, I think first of all, I think there is an overly exaggerated expectation of a Fed move in September.
Interesting.
Um, I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed. Now, my personal view, like I think the Fed should have moved in May, and I think the Fed should have more dovish talk right now. That's my personal view. Like my what I would do if I was sitting in that seat. But I think that we're not going to see a Fed move. I think we haven't really even seen the Fed begin to talk dovish yet. We still have Goolsby and other people out there saying, well, we're not even thinking about moving yet. And so, Goolsby, do you remember that old comic in the 70s, The Unknown Comic, and he had a paper bag
Oh
over
my
his
God.
head?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Well,
That was a commercial. Oh well, that it was from the Gong Show, the Unknown
yeah,
Comic.
whenever I hear Goolsby talk, like I'm not really that old, but I vaguely remember it. But he kind of reminds me of that guy. Like he'll say whatever's whatever's kind of convenient, but I feel like there's always like a but I'm tis after whatever he says. And so I think we have some people on the Fed who are pretty unserious. I don't see Goolsby as a serious Fed chair or Fed governor. I think there are other people who I don't think are. We just had an unserious Fed governor step off, and I'm glad we are seeing her step off. So, I think there's a lot to, and I don't mean this as a defensive kind of in defense of Trump, but there's a presumption that the people sitting on the Fed right now are these very serious thinkers. And, as long as we have people like Goolsby on the Fed, I just don't think we have serious thinkers there. I think we have political appointees and people who are there for expediency and kind of political ends.
Well,
So
isn't that exactly the type of candidate the president is looking for?
yeah, yes. And I guess
Well,
what I'm saying is there's nothing different, right?
yeah,
The
yeah.
guys who are there are political operators. And so the people coming on are going to be political operators. So that I don't see anything different. Mirren, he's not a stupid guy, but he's a political operator. And so that's just the nature of the Fed. The Fed has never been independent, I don't believe. It's always been a politically motivated appointment. And, this is where we've always been, but for some reason it's only now seen as a political appointment. So I think that tug of war at the Fed level is going to result in disappointment for doves in September. Again, I wish the Fed would, if not cut, I wish they would be more dovish in their tone. Um, and so I think we're going to see dollar strength where we actually should be seeing weakness now. And so a lot of the stagflation talk, I think, is based upon the dollar weakness that comes with a dovish Fed. And I'm not convinced we're going to get that Fed for probably at least 2 more months, if not longer. I think they'll
Okay.
put off cuts longer than is wanted, I think, by certainly the political operators in the White House.
Okay. Well, the metals are all fired up with that interview because the dollar hasn't weakened. So you're looking for a stronger dollar. You have could we trade say, 120 euro first, Tony, or it looks like either it's 120 or 112. Um,
Yeah, I think we're looking at a dollar closer to 112 by September or so. So
wow.
I think we're looking at a dollar that continues to gradually move toward, say, between 99 and 100 and possibly 100 by the end of the year. Again, this is not what I would want. Okay. I do not want a stronger dollar. I want a dollar that's slightly weaker, maybe not say 90, but I would prefer a dollar that's kind of 94-ish, something like that. But
Okay.
I think we see a higher dollar going into the end of the year because of the push-pull with the Fed, between the Fed and the White House.
Okay. And there was some pretty good negative action. I know people have cried wolf about whether there be a correction or not in the market. So do you think that with a stronger dollar that we're going to see the market, will part of that be risk off?
Yeah, well, we've seen, I mean, if you look at, say, XLK technology ETF, and we've seen that come off highs from July, and we'll continue to see that at least through this month. So the parts of the valuations that have been the most stretched, of course, you have the Mag 7, but we've seen a number of technology companies really come off of the extreme valuations. And I think what's being realized in tech is the investment that these guys are making, meaning the Mag 7 or whatever they're called now, their investments in data centers and quote unquote
Yeah.
AI are between 15 and 20 times their current year revenues in their AI businesses. So, they've been making these announcements about data centers and hardware investment for their products. And yeah, will AI revenues grow? Absolutely, they will. But are they going to grow at the rate necessary to justify those investments at the pace that they're going? Well, how long does a Blackwell chip, last? Is it a 2 or 3 or 5 year lifespan, right?
Yeah.
So are they going to be able to make that back on that, say, Blackwell chip investment over 2 years or over 5 years or over 10 years? I just don't know how long they're planning on that return on those hardware investments. So, of course, AI centers are more than hardware investments. We know that, but the most expensive part of it is these chips that are pretty that don't have a, say, 5 to 10 year lifespan.
Okay. So I'm looking at the semiconductors, and they've been diverging since early in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
You have a
problem.
lot of it's in a lot of averages. It looks like that. Even Bitcoin weekly looks like that. A lot of things that are making new highs have the momentum's not confirming.
Yeah, and
Good.
as someone in your chat just said, Palantir, if you look at Palantir this week,
Yeah,
they've
same thing.
really stumbled.
Yeah,
And it's got a 600x valuation or something. And, of course, you don't go by valuations in something like Palantir, but it's really started to stumble. And it's really showing signs of, this market, at least in technology, certain things starting to drop to reality. Because at heart, they're a government contractor, right? And there are only so many government contracts you can get. And does it justify that? I mean, the government is not growing as it used to, and they're definitely not going to automate, double-digit percentages of jobs. It's just not going to happen. Government is by nature a jobs creation vehicle. So they'll automate certain things, but they're not going to automate as much as they should or would in the private sector.
okay. A view on Bitcoin. Bitcoin was kind of a tell last week when it put in a big reversal day.
Yeah,
Do you consider it like, measure of liquidity and risk, and do you
yeah,
think it leads, kind of a leader? You get a little look ahead with what Bitcoin does in
yeah. So
front of the markets?
here's my worry about Bitcoin. I'm not an anti-Bitcoin guy, but I didn't make billions in Bitcoin either. So the correlation between Bitcoin and the S&P 500 is extremely high. And I worry that if we start to see a pullback in certain areas, um, especially in September, if rate cuts don't materialize like many people are expecting, we'll start to see a pullback in the S&P, which will mean a pullback will likely mean a pullback in Bitcoin. So, of course, we've seen a little bit of a pullback, and that always, brings, fear in people.
Yeah.
But I don't see extreme Bitcoin bearishness coming. I just don't see that happening. But I do see, there's a possibility if we see pullback in the S&P, we'll also see sales of those Bitcoin ETFs. It's not going to be the core direct Bitcoin holders. It's going to be the ETFs that sell off.
Yeah, look at that MicroStrategy.
Yeah.
Pretty negative week. I think people are calling this an internal head and shoulders top, which we're breaking down out of.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe there, if no one talks about it, but maybe an accident or some type of problem because of all the market cap of crypto now. It could come from the crypto space. A lack of confidence in what's happening in crypto could spill over.
Well, I mean,
I
MicroStrategy
do
is
like stable coins, Tony.
Oh, I think stablecoins are very, very interesting. But just going back to kind of crypto for a minute, generally, in Bitcoin, I think a lot of these crypto treasury companies, there's just been so many of them coming to market.
Yeah.
And I thought uh, that could be something that will give kind of some pause. And that's not a terrible thing. These things need to take a breather every so often, and I think it's fine.
Okay. So, what else is what are you doing here that you think has legs, or do you lack conviction about trading the next couple of weeks and just wait and see
Well,
what
again,
happens once the volume comes in?
this dollar outlook is one that I hate to talk about because I don't
But
like it. I don't like strong dollar here. And so I would, what I'm looking at is, okay, what happens if we do have a strong dollar, and what, I guess assumptions am I bringing into my outlook and my trading that would change if we do have a strong dollar over the next, say, 5 to 6 months. I think it helps. It certainly helps things like Chinese exports as we take a pause on these trade negotiations and we kind of stick with the status quo for a period of time. I think it helps energy. If we have a stronger dollar, I think it helps push down energy prices in dollar terms, which will help inflation, meaning inflation will grow more slowly if we have a stronger
Strong dollar.
dollar and weaker
Yeah.
energy costs, that sort of thing. So I hear this talk about stagflation, and I understand the thesis, but I just am not seeing us getting there. If we have a stronger dollar and if we have the fallout of kind of these other, say, energy and commodity things that would happen if we do have a stronger dollar. But again, it's a conclusion that I'm not loving, but it's what I'm seeing. And so
Well, I can make you feel better. There is another count for the dollar that that this is just a 4 and we're going down to make a new low 95, 94 before there is a bottom in the dollar. So
yeah, that's possible, Dale, and that's exactly where I would have thought things would be. But again,
down
I
here.
do think this tug of war with the Fed is one that the Fed's really not going to give on. And so, I think it's something that, the Besant and Trump are not, I don't think they're going to get what they want this year in terms of a weaker dollar and in terms of a more pliable Fed. So Mirren will go in, we'll get 3 dissenting votes, possibly in the September meeting, and then we'll grind into a majority to cut toward the end of the year, maybe November.
A Christmas gift.
Maybe a Christmas gift, something like
Okay.
that. But, and the other part of that is this, there's this gossip about this kind of fiscal that is going to happen because of the tariffs. So there's going to be a check, checks going out to people by the end of the year. So if we have fiscal spending, that takes up more dollars and that could add to dollar strength as well. So again, I'm not at all saying we're looking at a 105 or $110. I'm not going there at all. It's just gradually pushing higher, very gradually, and definitely not moving in the weakness place that I had really thought we would go and hoped, to be honest, we would go to like a 94, 95.
Okay, well, I think we could. Need to take out this low, Tony. Take out 97.10 and we're going.
Yep.
So, and
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I guess I'm not really necessarily, convicted in either direction. That's kind of where I am.
Yeah.
3 months ago, I was like, man, we're headed to a $92. But again, this Fed discussion has really pushed into we're not really headed there, and it's going to be 26 by the time we get there.
Okay. You spoke about energy. Have you noticed how cheap nat gas has gotten over the last month or so? I mean, it's really been under a lot of pressure. And the narrative behind it is that for all these data centers for AI and the shortage of electricity, that before we go to more modern nuclear energy, that nat gas is the bridge between those two.
Yeah.
Could there be an opportunity setting up in nat gas here?
It's possible, Dale, but I'll be honest. I don't. So my company, Complete Intelligence, is an AI company. I understand a lot of the mechanics around what these data center announcements are happening, and I don't see these data center investments happening at the pace that
Okay.
that they're saying. So they're saying they're going to invest, I don't know, $600 billion within the next 6 months or something like that. I just don't see that happening for a lot of reasons, but I think it's been very bullish for their stock to make these outsized announcements. But I just don't think it's possible for them to build out at that pace. And I also think that the slower pace, say providing the chipsets and other things that they need, is just one that, it just can't keep up with the pace of investment that they want to make.
Okay. So I want to show everyone your website here, Tony.
Thanks, Dale. Yeah.
Yeah, trade with confidence, audit your
Yeah.
data. What do you want to point out here?
Yeah, look,
Besides
we
this fee?
started this product about 6 months ago called CA Markets Alpha, which is daily interval forecasts. We deliver them to customers every weekend. And so it's a 20 interval forecast. We deliver it to you every Saturday morning, and anything that's tradable we'll include in there. You tell us the list you want, and we will provide it for you. It's new every Saturday. So we have our basic $10 a month on CA Markets, which is monthly interval, but CA Markets Alpha is daily interval. And that's really where we're seeing a lot of interest from our customers, and that's our fastest growing product right now. So if you're interested in that, follow me on X, contact me through the website, and we'll make sure you get set up.
Okay. Yeah, it looks really interesting. And for $10, they get
No.
what?
$10 is monthly interval.
Oh, yeah,
It's about $10 a month per ticker on this, something
I
like that.
see. Okay. And Tony is well spoken, and as you can tell, he's got the demeanor for being in the markets. He's not really hypey about anything. It's real deliberate. And check Tony out. I always learn some things from him, and he calms me down with my with my you know my impulsive narratives that I have at times. So
Thank you, Dale.
really appreciate you coming here and edifying the community, Tony. And I think you might have one more reprieve with a weaker dollar, but then I think you might be miserable up to 102.
Yeah, that's possible. It's very
Yeah,
possible.
but I kind of agree with you. The milkshake guys that are looking for 110, 120, I'm not so sure. I think
Not this year, I don't see.
yeah. So Tony Nash, everyone, and his handle on X is at Tony Nash Nerd. Don't forget the nerd part,
That's
or you
me.
won't find him. So everyone should be as nerdy as you, Tony.
Thanks, Dale.
All right, buddy.
Have a great day. Thank you.
All right, so that's a
Okay.
wrap, everyone, and you could join the team on the Morning Edge in about 18 minutes. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Um, hope you enjoyed Tony and our session. You're very welcome, everyone. Have a great day. All right. Adios, everyone. See you tomorrow. This is hump day. We're almost there. Adios.